This is Future Fork, a show that explores the world of food and the decisions we can make today that will shape our future. On the show, you'll hear from innovators in the food space. We'll have disruptive conversations with people from around the globe who are taking the lead on topics like food sustainability, ending world hunger, food security, and so much more. I'm your host, Paul Newnham. In this episode, we're talking to Danny McCubbin, founder of The Good Kitchen. After 17 years with Jamie Oliver in London, Danny moved to Sicily to transform surplus food into meals for those in need. We chat about his journey from Melbourne to Mussomeli and how food can change communities. You'll hear about the unexpected lessons from running a community kitchen, his take on returning to Melbourne after years abroad, and he'll even share his favourite dish. Let's get into it. Danny, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much, Paul.
So we're here in Melbourne. Let's just start out. Australia. What's your connection with Australia?
Well, I am an Aussie. So born and bred Gold Coast, ended up in London in 98. Didn't mean to stay there, but I did for nearly 24 years. I was one of the Aussies that went backpacking and fell in love with the place and stayed. So Australian and also I spent a long time in Melbourne. So it's beautiful to be back in this city and reconnecting and having the time to sort of see all the things I love about this city and my full circle moment, as I say.
So what are you noticing in Melbourne that now that you're back here? What's standing out at you?
The joy of food here. So I think, culturally, there's so many different types of food. I lived here in 97. Obviously, that's a long time ago. And just that kind of sense that you can get good food here and you can get authentic food. And also just, I love this city. Today, I walked from Flinders Street all the way down to Port Melbourne. And it's very accessible, very walkable. And just nice to connect with old friends and old haunts. And, things, obviously, the city has grown, but Brunswick Street is still Brunswick Street. We've just had lunch in South Melbourne. That's still South Melbourne. I was in South Melbourne markets yesterday. It still has retained that beautiful sense of familiarity, food being a part of the life here, but it's become this international city, but it still feels like very accessible.
And you are based in Sicily for the majority of your time. So what's different between here and where you're based?
Well, yeah. So I ended up in Sicily, Paul, in 2020. So I'd been volunteering for a community out there called San Patrignano in Italy and had always wanted to settle in Italy. There are many similarities for me between Sicily and Italy and Australia. My grandparents were farmers. I grew up on a farm and I knew and I still know what a real tomato should taste like. And so in Sicily, there is this great appreciation of food. Obviously, also, we're close to the beaches as well. It's very similar to Australia. But yeah, I think it's that sense of knowing where your food comes from, that being a part of your family, part of your life. There's great similarities for sure.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about The Good Kitchen. And as the founder of The Good Kitchen, can you give us a bit of an understanding of what is The Good Kitchen?
So I worked in London for a long time, worked for 17 years for Jamie Oliver. I was a part of the team that helped run 15 Restaurant, the social enterprise where we trained young chefs to be top class, young disadvantaged people to be top class chefs. And it was always my dream to start a community kitchen, a space where people came together over food. And so when Brexit happened in the UK, I thought to myself that I would like to be a part of Italy, to live in Italy. And so I ended up buying a €1 house strangely in this town in Mussomeli, it's a very remote town in the middle of Sicily. It's a very poor town. There's 50% youth unemployment. There's a lot of social isolation because a lot of the families and young people have had to leave to find work on the mainland. And so my dream was always to take the €1 house and turn that into a community kitchen. Sadly, that didn't happen in the €1 house. It just became too expensive to turn it into a community kitchen. So we launched in an old shop in the middle of the town square. And the Good Kitchen really it's an Italian charity. We rescue food from the supermarkets and then we put that food to good use. So we're open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We've rescued 19 tons of food and there's around 20, 25 families who we look after. But the kitchen really is a place of connection and food being the conduit to bring people together.
And Mussomeli, tell us a little bit about the community. So you got a €1 house. People have heard about that. So that's a real thing.
It's a real thing. So Mussomeli, if you research and Google €1 houses, Mussomeli usually comes up as the first hit because the deputy mayor that set the program up speaks English. And so the real estate agents, they speak English as well. So there are a lot of foreigners buying the houses in Mussomeli. Not many €1 houses left anymore. They call them now premium houses. But for like 10 or 15,000 euros, you can buy a perfectly livable house. So a lot of people from the UK and the US who can't get on the ladder, who are wanting to invest in property, are coming to Mussomeli. It's a very remote town. It's 800 feet above sea level. The roads are atrocious to get there. Driving from Palermo at nighttime from the airport is really challenging. But what's happened, Paul, is that it's become this isolated little town of goodness where people are kind. There's a great sense of community. So I find in Sicily being such a poor island, the Sicilians are the first to reach out to help each other. So it was the perfect place for me to launch a community kitchen. It took some time for people to understand what it was that I was doing. They thought, what's this crazy chef from London doing, opening a restaurant? And I was like, no, it's not a restaurant. You don't have to pay for food. The food is free and you can come and share a meal together. So we're 3 years on. And it's just a beautiful hub where we have many people coming just to connect and share a meal and enjoy a cup of coffee. A lot of elderly people come to the kitchen as well. A lot of families with little campagnas donate produce to us. So that gives them the sense of being able to give back as well. So it's very simple in its premise. Like a third of the food that we produce in the world is wasted, yet people go hungry. And so that happens in Mussomeli as well. So food, reaches its use-by date or the veg looks a bit wonky. And instead of it being thrown away, we put it to good use.
And so how have you seen food or access to good food change in people's lives? Like how has this kind of impacted people?
I mean, Italians in general are pretty good around food waste. I think one of the things that you asked me about similarities between my life and life in this town, like when you grow up on a farm and you grow up growing your own food, you kind of, for instance, have to buy water. You can't drink the water in Mussomeli. Like I was pretty good at not wasting water in the first place, living in London and Australia, but it's gone up now by 10 times because it's like I'm physically paying for this commodity. And I think it's similar when people grow their own produce, when you see from a seed that this food, what's produced. I think we get so comatose because we go into a supermarket and you see things in plastic and you buy one or two. Like there's not that physical connection to food. And so this town where food is a part of their life, and also, the town is poor, like unemployment is high. So food is not a luxury. It's something that is planned. So in winter, they do a lot of pickling and preserving. And the sheer fact that in the kitchen, we have so many young families who have the campagnas bringing the food in because they don't want to throw it away. We don't cook with meat in the kitchen. It's all vegetarian. But we have farmers coming to collect all the produce to feed the pigs and animals. So there's this beautiful cycle, this food cycle that I'm a part of that is in my soul, really. So it's like being at home, really.
What's something that's most surprised you about this project and what have you really learned from it?
I think one of the biggest surprises for me has been two things. One, I think in the beginning, I just envisaged, because I opened the kitchen not long after the pandemic in London. And in London, I set up a community kitchen where we provided cooked meals for families. And so I just pictured that the Good Kitchen, we would just be providing cooked meals for elderly people and cooked meals for families. And that was like an assumption. I think the biggest surprise has been how much the locals have just wanted produce. They don't want a cooked pasta meal on a Sunday. They want, an Italian will have a pot and a pan, water, salt, sugo, passata, and then pasta, and they can make an amazing meal. So that's one surprise. And then the second surprise has been really how the town has understood and adopted me and what I've done. I think in the beginning there was a lot of hesitation because they thought it was a soup kitchen and they thought it was a place of shame. So no one would step foot in the kitchen. You know, they didn't want to be seen because everyone knows everyone in the town. So they didn't want to be seen to be walking into that place to be getting free food. But now it's because we've turned it into a place of joy. You can walk past on a Sunday lunch. You might know that there's a family there that's in food poverty and sitting down to a meal. It could be that they're just guests or friends. So I think the second biggest surprise is how they've adopted me and adopted the whole concept of the Good Kitchen.
And so you've had a lot of learnings through this project. How are you sharing those? How are you building a community of others working in similar projects? Is the idea to replicate, or what are you looking at?
Good question, Paul. So the kitchen's successful. So we've rescued 19 tons of food. We deliver fresh produce every week. We have Sunday big long table where we sit down to a meal. So I've had offers to franchise, and every town in Italy should have a good kitchen. That's not my dream. My dream is, my goal and my objective is to take everything that I've learned through working in London for all those years, working in community food, and everything I've learned in the Good Kitchen, and then to take that and put it online. So if you've got funding to start a community kitchen in a small town in Australia and you have a chef on board and maybe a project manager, there's not one stop shop that you can go to and have all the recipes you need, how to upscale recipes, how to rescue food, how to look after your volunteers, how to apply for grants. So I'm working on a project now to take everything and put it online. Not me, my knowledge for sure, but other people's knowledge in this field as well. And then secondly, I think there is a moment just to bring community cooks and young chefs together in Mussomeli and give them this beautiful experience that I experience every Sunday when we provide meals for people that are struggling. So last year, through the Antonio Coluccio Foundation, we received a small grant to run our first workshop where we gathered together community cooks, young chefs, really to talk about, one, was there a need for this portal and this website? And there was an overriding response that yes, there is. And then secondly, how can we physically bring chefs together? Because I think community cooks in general and chefs, they get so involved in the actual running of the community kitchen. So where does the funding come from? That it's not often that they stand outside and say, okay, how do we make the kitchen sustainable for 10 years? How do we share our resources with another kitchen that's down the road? So my dream is that every year chefs would come, get them out of their space, get them connected to other community cooks and chefs, and give them a moment to be connected and to think about what they need to do. So from the workshop last year, I was telling you this morning, what's been really beautiful is that all of the community cooks and the chefs we brought together in November in Mussomeli last year for our first workshop are connecting since I've been back in Australia. You know, they're meeting up, they're sharing resources, they're seeing each other, they're really supporting online. And so can you imagine that that's happened after one 5-day workshop? Every year we build on this and it just becomes a moment for community cooks and these amazing souls to connect both online and offline.
I think as you're talking, the values and the principles which you've built the kitchen around are universal. So they apply, but it's the relationships which also are integral to your model that I think also help the ecosystem and build those webs. It's really interesting. Well, what's in store for the Good Kitchen in 25?
I've taken a bit of a break, a bit of a vacation in Australia. It's been beautiful to be back in Melbourne, connect with friends. And so this year we received a small grant from the mayor, and we have a kitchen manager on board and an amazing young woman from Ukraine. She sadly can't go back to her hometown, so she's working for us as well. So the kitchen's running beautifully. So that was always my goal as well, which was to make it fun for people, not stressful, very manageable. So we're open Thursdays to Sundays, so that's happening. We've got some beautiful projects happening. We're collaborating with the local hospitality college to teach the students to take all of our surplus produce, and the students will make passatas and jams and preserves, and we can white label and put the Good Kitchen and start selling produce as well.
Amazing.
We're looking at changing the structure of the Good Kitchen. At the moment, we're an Italian association. I'd like for the kitchen to become more of a social enterprise model where some of these young chefs are coming to volunteer. They could run supper clubs and pop-ups and make money for themselves, little micro businesses. We've just been donated a van. So we're going to start Mussomeli's first mobile fruit juice van bar. Again, some of the young chefs then can turn that into a little micro business for themselves. But really, I'm the type of person at any given moment, I've got 101 ideas, but it doesn't mean that I have to do all of those ideas. So it's always, does this fit with the kitchen? Is it good for young people? Is it good for the unemployed people in the town? And is it good for the good kitchen? If it fits, if the answers to the question is yes, then we do it. But exciting to be back, actually. I've missed it, which is a good sign, I think.
It's always great when you're able to step away as well as a founder, be able to have people continue it and run it. And that enables you to be able to think about the next parts of the journey.
Absolutely. And also, Paul, for me, we're getting to the stage now, I'm very active on social media and I've written a book about the kitchen. What I absolutely love is now that people are coming to the kitchen to see the people, the volunteers, the nonnas, the young chefs that are there and asking for them. So it was a time when they would come for me, and egotistically, that's not what I set this kitchen up. It's not me, it's the Mussomeli's kitchen. So I love it now when they come and say, it's Kalodjera here, the nonna that cooks on a Sunday, and getting photos with Kalodjera. So that's another sign of success, which is, because I think it's challenging when you have a personality-led project. So you take myself out of it, that kitchen will still exist and people would want to see it for what it is.
So one question we like to close our episodes with is a recurring question. So what's your favorite thing to eat?
So that's a big question, isn't it, for Italy? Because there's just so much. I will tell you, I think my favorite thing to eat is, they call it sugo, but it's a passata made by this wonderful woman called Maria Angela. So all the nonnas, they have their ways of making passata, and she took me under her wing the first year I was there, and she taught me her way. So my favorite thing to eat is her passata, because it's the first time I've ever had passata on a pasta where it's just like, it doesn't need salt, pepper, cheese, or anything. It's just like absolutely delicious. And I still have a bottle from last year, and that's my favorite thing. Sorry, there's two things. That's being really selfish.
You're fine.
And my second favorite thing is the olive oil that I produce on my little farm, where I harvest olives and get involved in the harvest and the producing of the olive oil. That with a piece of bread and Maria Angela's passata on pasta.
What's your processing for your olive oil? How do you do it?
It's with a local family, and it goes in, all the leaves and everything is separated, heated up. It's not cold pressed like in the old days, but it is pretty instant. Like you see my olive oil coming straight out. It's not big industrialized, kind of mixed in with other olives. So I harvest, I get to see which tubs are mine, and I sit there, and this beautiful family, I then have to collect my own olive oil. So it's not like it goes into a co-op and mixed with everyone else's. It's really good.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you, Paul.
You've been listening to Future Fork, a show that explores the world of food and the decisions we can make today that will shape our future. Future Fork is produced by Disruptive Consulting Solutions and supports the SDG2 Advocacy Hub. For more info, head to the website futureforkpodcast.com. This show was produced with strategy and production support from Wavelength Creative. So you don't miss an episode of Future Fork, make sure to subscribe to or follow the show in your podcast app. And while you're there, leave us a 5-star review. It really helps others find the show. I'm Paul Newnham, and I'll see you in the next episode.